This is your Friday Daily Delivery. I am Michael Rand. Lots of good stuff coming up today. Hope everyone's having a good Friday so far and getting ready for the weekend. I'm excited. Get a little time off. Get a little, get outside maybe a little bit. Stuff like that. St. Paul Saints General Manager Derek Sharrer will be on the show in a little while. Interesting talking to him. I don't know if you guys are aware, probably some of you are, maybe a lot of you are, even with this Major League Baseball work stoppage, the Saints, who are, of course, now affiliated with the Twins, they are their AAA minor league affiliate, just 10 miles apart. Their season will go on pretty much as normal. The only difference for the Saints is that nobody on the Twins' 40-man roster can compete or train as long as this work stoppage is going on. So, they will have a season. Their season opens in about a month. Their home schedule opens a week later. And they could end up being, at this point, they could end up being the only show in town, at least for a while, as long as Major League Baseball is having its labor issues. So I'll talk to Derek about that more here in a little bit. Got to get to an absolutely bonkers stat I saw the other day about Rick Adelman. It pertained to the Sacramento Kings. Of course, Adelman was also a Timberwolves head coach for a while, and it got me thinking about where current head coach Chris Finch kind of falls in the pecking order of Timberwolves coaches, at least as we know it so far, and kind of what he has accomplished, at least so far this season. Got to talk a little Gophers women's basketball. That season is over after a Big Ten tournament loss on Thursday to Northwestern. But first, what did I miss? Let's get to the Wild. We've been talking about, can they take advantage of these two games, one against, two against some of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference, Philadelphia and Buffalo. Well, they get it done Thursday. It was not pretty, but they pull out a 5-4 win over the Philadelphia Flyers on Thursday. They were down 4-3 going into the third period, but get a couple of quick goals in succession in that third period, kind of midway through the period. So, they're able to squeeze out a win in that game. Jonas Brodin had the game winner. Matt Boldy had the game-tying goal at 12:16 of the third period. Yeah, Brodin's goal just 25 seconds after that. It's not one of those things where all is right with the world, but some encouraging signs, and at least they get a win. That kind of was the messaging from head coach Dean Evason after the game. Here are a couple thoughts from Dean Evason.
I probably can't describe how we were feeling. It was a grind, right? I mean, we talked about it was going to be a grinding game, and to kind of find where we're at, and we thought we played good. We played good in spurts, but it was a grind. And the positive thing is that we did grind, continually kept grinding everybody, and we're fortunate to get it done. The whole team has to get through it, right? It's not Cam. It's the Minnesota Wild. The Minnesota Wild have to play through this. You have to have a game like this where, we were good, but not, we made mistakes. Everybody did. And everybody's got to play through it, and everybody's got to stick together and get it done. And we got to continue to get better and better now going forward.
Cam Talbot still struggled to a certain degree in this game, let in 4 goals. The defense still leaking. They're still, having some problems with, misplays, turnovers, things like that. But kind of like Dean Evason said, it's not always going to be a work of art when you snap a losing streak. The Wild had lost 6 out of 7 coming into this game. Sometimes you just need one of those kind of, close games, one of them where you had to kind of fight through it to get a win, to start feeling better about yourself. Maybe this game will be that. You get Ryan Hartman had 2 goals in this game. Again, just important to get a win. That's kind of the bottom line in this game. As we've talked about, them starting to fall behind a little bit in the standings, them having some issues with, hey, they had Stanley Cup aspirations 2 weeks ago. Where are they now? And yeah, they're just hoping to get into the playoffs, and they got to sort some things out long term, right? The goaltending has to get better, whether it's Cam Talbot, Capo Kakinen, or both of them. They're going to need them down the stretch, as we talked about with so many, compressed schedule. Again, the back-to-back tonight against Buffalo. They're going to need those guys to play better and be able to steal some wins for them. And they need to get better, in isolated areas like face-offs. Philadelphia won 40 face-offs to the Wild's 23 on Thursday, and that's maybe you can get away with that against a lesser team like Philadelphia. Philadelphia way under 500 in terms of points percentage, things like that. 16, 28, and 10 now. But against some of the better teams, once you get to the playoffs, you can't have games like that. You're going to be giving up too much possession in both zones, in particular. Dangerous situations and not being able to capitalize on offense. So can they get those things consistently shored up? Do they need to make a move here at the trade deadline in the next few weeks to kind of shore some of that up? They didn't seem like they were a team that really needed much a few weeks ago, but as you've seen some of the holes and some of their play get exposed a little bit, maybe that is changing. So we'll see. Bottom line, a win for the Wild on Thursday. I don't know if they should feel great about themselves, but they've got the right at least to feel better about themselves this morning than they did when they woke up on Thursday.
Take a playcation to Mystic Lake for 24/7 gaming, fun restaurants and bars, and luxurious hotel rooms. And join Club M to bask in the rewards. Follow the lights to Mystic Lake, where every day is play day.
Happy to have St. Paul Saints General Manager Derek Sharrer on Daily Delivery today. Derek, unusual times for baseball, but a little bit business as usual, as close as you can get for the Saints right now, I guess. Welcome, and how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. It's another unique offseason for baseball. We haven't had a normal one in about 3 years.
It's what it feels like, right? Because 2020, we were talking before we started recording. 2020, there was no minor league season, which that's unusual. And 2021, you're still kind of sorting through everything. It's, you still got some COVID restrictions, things like that. And here you go with the labor stoppage. But what some people might not know, if they're not kind of keenly tuned into baseball, is that, the minor leagues essentially go on. And if, even if there is a, what seems to be a delay and a lengthy one, if it is one to the Major League Baseball season, the Saints will still be on the field in April and are in fact training in Florida right now, correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And this is maybe a little bit inside baseball, but the only, I'm sure you're aware of this, but the only players impacted by the lockout are the 40-man roster. So there are a few players that would potentially be starting with the Saints if there wasn't a lockout. But there's plenty of minor leaguers in the system that we'll be able to field a AAA team separate from those involved in the labor dispute.
So what are the Saints up to right now? You're most of the team is down in Florida and has begun basically spring training as usual, so to speak?
Yeah, the team and the coaching staff reported in February, and they've been working out now for a couple of weeks, making preparations here in St. Paul. We're getting ready to open our earliest season ever as an independent franchise. For 28 years, we opened in mid-May or early June, usually much later in the spring. As a AAA affiliate now, we play a 150-game schedule. Our season mirrors the Major League season. So we're scheduled to start on April 5th on the road in Louisville, and then April 12th here at home in St. Paul. And it's a really unique kind of odd situation for us because as a member of the greater baseball family, we're not happy about what's happening with Major League Baseball. It's just not good for the sport. But we're in that sort of unique spot here, a minor league team in a major league market where we may be the only show in town for a period of time. We're not hoping for it, but certainly we'll do our best to take care of baseball fans while we have an opportunity.
And I imagine when you were, unaffiliated for all those years, if this had happened in one of those years, you might have been having a little bit more fun with it, kind of poking fun at the major leaguers. A little bit more delicate now, but like you said, still trying to put yourselves into position to be there for baseball fans.
Yeah, no question. And I don't think it's going to feel all that much different, except for those hardcore Twins fans that only go to Twins games. There's such an overlap of fan base that we've shared with the Twins now for going on 30 years. And so I think there's always been scenarios where Twins fans come to Saints games, Saints fans go to Twins games, baseball fans go to baseball games. But there definitely will be a void, assuming this thing goes farther. At this point, the Twins are still slated to open at home on April 7th, I believe. So they haven't lost any home games yet, and fingers crossed they won't. But if they do, certainly there's a great opportunity for Twins fans to see Twins players in the AAA uniform here at CHS Field.
What have you been hearing from, Saints players that are training down in Florida? This has got to be kind of an uncertain time, especially for, like you said, the 40-man roster can't be there. So guys who were really good in St. Paul last year, like Jose Miranda, those guys won't be there because they're on the 40-man right now. But, guys who might be on the cusp or close to a promotion, or just, guys who have major league aspirations have to be kind of in this weird space right now of like, what's going on with the game? Have you been in communication with those players at all?
No, we really haven't at this level. Certainly the coaching staff has been in contact on a day-to-day basis, and the player development staff with the Twins have been in touch with those guys. But my understanding is that they're happy to be playing baseball. They're happy to be on the field in uniform, training, getting ready for a season. The unique situation is you mentioned those 40-man roster players who, in particular, a guy like Royce Lewis, who missed last season due to injury, was put on the 40-man roster this offseason and now is a part of the labor dispute, whereas a few months ago he wouldn't have been and would be planning for a season. So there's kind of that mid-range, that up and coming prospect that was looking forward to a season that is a little bit uncertain at this point.
And like you said, though, we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. We're going to talk about a lengthy amount of time that Major League Baseball could miss. Like you said, only the first two series canceled so far. Still, possible progress sometime here in the near future. That said, as you kind of think about, once this thing might get going, what are you looking forward to in terms of the players that are going to be playing the season ahead? Because the Twins are a team with a lot of talent at that kind of up and coming level.
Yeah, we certainly, one of many reasons we hope this thing gets settled sooner than later is those prospects we're discussing. You mentioned a Jose Miranda. We talked about a Royce Lewis. Those are guys that we would like to see here for at least a period of time, if not the whole season. But, as long as this is going on, we won't see those guys. This is our first full season as a AAA affiliate with the Twins. Last year, we were slated to start in April, but the season got pushed back to May for the minor leagues with the COVID concerns. So we're just looking forward to having a full season under our belt with a full off season. Last year was so unique in that we weren't able to announce the AAA affiliation wasn't finalized until mid-December. We didn't have a schedule until February. The schedule then got pushed back. And then at that point, we didn't even know if we were going to be able to have fans in the ballpark until mid-March. So there were so many moving parts and hurdles to jump over last year. Just excited to have a full normal offseason, of course, but for what's happening at the major league level.
What did you learn from that first year of affiliation? Because I'm sure, some things operational wise are kind of the same. It's a baseball game every night, just like it always is. But what were some of the particular, transition points that you noticed last year?
It was a lot of fun. It was, certainly the talent level. We've always been very proud of the talent level of baseball we put on the field as an independent. Something we were very proud of. Moved a lot of guys into major league organizations, several players up onto major league rosters. But there's no question when you're fielding a AAA roster and you're playing against another AAA roster, you're seeing some of the best talent in all of minor league baseball. And we had an opportunity to see that last year. We had an opportunity to see a lot of rehab players too, major leaguers who were coming down. We had an opportunity to work with the Twins to show exactly how this 10.5 mile apart partnership was supposed to work. I think we saw 12 major league rehab players over the course of the season. We saw 27 players who were rostered with the Saints move on to the Twins. So it was exciting to see it work the way we all dreamt it would. From a day-to-day perspective, it was a ball game with fans being entertained here in the ballpark the way with the same Saints experience we've always hoped to deliver. The thing that we missed the most was the ability to interact with players, and that had nothing to do with AAA affiliation versus independent. It had everything to do with the pandemic, and it was seen throughout minor league baseball and Major League Baseball. The way clubhouses had to bubble to protect themselves and those around them, we just missed out on a lot of that interaction that we typically have with players and our fans and players and youth baseball players and that type of engagement and interaction. So we're excited in year 2 here to be able to start seeing more of that come back.
With the teams being so close, like you said, 10 miles apart, were there last minute decisions in terms of like players that could be moved here and there? I mean, that just, you don't have that flexibility when you're, hours or, a flight apart like some affiliates are.
No question. I joked with the Twins player development staff that if there's one lesson we learned, it's that we need to take a look at the entire Twins roster and make a nameplate for every single player, because we were scrambling to move nameplates around and make sure guys had uniforms with the right number and nameplate on it. So this year, we're just making them all. We're going to have 150 nameplates in the clubhouse and be able to we're going to purchase our own heat press and we'll be ready to roll. So that was the biggest lesson learned. And it was interesting to see, though. A great example of the flexibility was a Byron Buxton. He would, during his rehab stint, he would work out over at Target Field, take batting practice with the big league club, and then he would head over here to play the game. So it just, the flexibility that provided that Twins player personnel staff was unbelievable.
Last couple things for you, Derek. Appreciate this conversation. You hope you don't see Byron Buxton this year, but like you said, there's been a lot of players that have kind of shuttled back and forth. As you kind of think about the year and how unusual, again, it could be, are you preparing anything differently if you are indeed the only show in town, or will it be kind of the same plan you would have had anyway?
Really the same plan. We've been so fortunate over the years, and particularly this last 7 years here at CHS Field, that the fan support has been amazing. And even coming off of COVID in 2020 and last year in 2021 with some restrictions, the crowds were incredible. We finished the season 5th in overall attendance out of the 120 minor league baseball teams. So, I would expect that we need to prepare a little bit more for media. Up in our press box isn't designed the way a major league press box is, but I would imagine the coverage might increase a little bit if we're the only baseball to be covered for a period of time. But we're hopeful that the Twins are playing and both ballparks are full regardless. So fingers crossed that we don't, the fact that we have an opportunity to be the only show in town for a period of time, is that a little bit exciting and interesting? Sure. But like I said, it's not good for baseball. So we're certainly not hoping for it.
You can never have a normal year. What can we, when can we expect the first normal year?
Man, oh man, I don't know. I think most people who know anything about us would know there's no such thing as a normal year, but
true, right?
We'd like to control the normalcy, right? Like we'd like to be the ones causing it to not be normal as opposed to reacting to it not being normal. So I'm certainly hopeful that we run into one of those.
Me too. Well, I appreciate it. Enjoy the lead up to this. Hope the guys are getting everything they need to get done down in Florida. And the season's just about a month away. It's hard to believe, but we'll be talking about sunshine and baseball in no time.
Yeah, we've still got about a foot of snow to melt here on the field. So fingers crossed for some 40+ degrees too.
Absolutely. Thanks, Derek. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
Appreciate Derek coming on the show. Lots of interesting, subjects related to the Saints. I think he did a good job kind of walking that line. Obviously they would, not be thrilled, but they would take advantage of the opportunity if they had to be the only, professional baseball team playing. If the Twins and Major League Baseball, if the lockout extended, further than it is right now. But obviously that's not good for baseball. They don't want that. There's enough fans to go around even when this thing gets settled. Like you said, the Saints were very high up in attendance last season in terms of all of the minor leagues. So, you want to see everybody on the field. You want to see Royce Lewis get back on the field, and he's not able to do that right now because he's on the 40-man roster. You want to see a lot of these prospects be able to play wherever it is. So, a dicey situation for them, but, maybe a heartening news for, local baseball fans if they didn't realize that there will be baseball played in the Twin Cities in April, regardless of what happens with this lockout. At least there is that to look forward to no matter what. And kind of interestingly enough, too, speaking of those labor woes, interesting, I read the other day that 4 Major League Baseball owners apparently voted against the league's latest collective bargaining agreement proposal. So there's some, there's even a little bit of dissension among ownership as to what they're after what they're doing and and things like that. So yeah, I don't know where we go from here. It kind of sounded like Rob Manfred thought they kind of needed a reset the other day, but they got to keep talking, otherwise they're going to lose more games as this goes along. And it felt like they were getting close the night before, Monday this week, and then all of a sudden it fell apart. So maybe they can maybe they can come back to some of that middle ground they seemed to be finding. Okay, guys, here's an absolutely bonkers stat that I saw on Twitter the other day. Has to do with the Sacramento Kings. With a loss they had the other day, they ensured they were going to have a losing season this year. Tweet from Josh Dubo, AP writer, guessing out in Sacramento. As says he's based in Alameda, California. The loss by the Sacramento Kings tonight extends an amazing streak, he tweets. Winning seasons in Sacramento with Rick Adelman as head coach 8 in 8 years. Winning seasons in Sacramento with anyone else as coach. 0 in 29 years. That is absolutely amazing. It shows you the level of success, what he was able to do in Sacramento. Maybe kind of shows that, Sacramento maybe didn't know how good they had it when they, when he was there. But that is absolutely amazing. Rick Adelman, a very good head coach for a long time with Portland, Sacramento, and I would argue did a good job with the Wolves as well. But that brings me to my Wolves point. Rick Adelman was here for quite a while. Was here presiding over kind of the Ricky Rubio, Kevin Love portion of the Wolves. They improved from 26 wins in the shortened 2011-2012 season. Had 31 wins the next year, 40 and 42 in 2013-14. That was the best Rick Adelman could do. They moved on from there, and that kind of the rest is history. But Timberwolves franchise history, they have completed 32 seasons in their history. They have 8 winning seasons, just like Sacramento does in Sacramento. 7 of those winning seasons started with Flip Saunders as the head coach. Now, there's an asterisk by the 2004-2005 season because he was fired with 31 games left. Kevin McHale brought that one to the finish line. Actually had more success than Flip did that year. Got them a 44-38 record, although they missed the playoffs. That was the beginning of the end of that little, you're not going to call it a dynasty, but the team that made the playoffs 8 years in a row. Now, there were 2 of those teams that did not have winning records. The first year the Wolves made the playoffs in 1996-97, they were 40-42, and in the labor-shortened year of 98-99, they were 25-25. So even record, but not a winning record. But larger point stands. They've had 8 seasons with winning records in their history, 7 of them led by Flip Saunders. The other one, of course, led by Tom Thibodeau in the 2017-2018 season. That brings me to this year and the opportunity they have to add a 9th winning season to this mix. They've had a lot of different head coaches in their history who have not been able to have at least one single winning season. It's just kind of amazing to think about the long list of head coaches who weren't able to get over the hump in any kind of meaningful way. From the truly bad, like Kurt Rambis, who only won 32 games in 2 seasons at the helm, 32-1, 32, the perfect symmetry. Somehow being 100 games under 500 in just 2 seasons of work is an amazing thing. Guys who maybe didn't get a fair deal, like Dwayne Casey, just all the way down the line of all the history of their head coaches, going back to the very first one, Bill Musselman. Chris Finch, though, has this opportunity right now to be only the 3rd coach in Wolves history to actually have a winning season. The Wolves, right now looking pretty good in the standings, have a good shot at finishing over 500 this season, winning at least 42 games, which would qualify for a winning season. They are 34-29 right now, so nothing assured, but if they can stay above that mark for the rest of the way, win 8 games the rest of the way out of their last 19, they will have a winning record. So Chris Finch has a chance to kind of make his mark in this thin Timberwolves coaching history record book, right? It's not been great here, aside from that run that Flip had in the late 90s, early 2000s, kind of culminating in that Western Conference Finals appearance against the Lakers. It's been quite bad, but Chris Finch does seem like he's building something here. And, whether he can become that coach that kind of puts together that next string of good seasons remains to be seen, but you have to be optimistic about where they are right now. And, opportunity, like we've talked about, to get a bunch of those wins strung together. They've got a softer schedule coming up here, starting with the game against Oklahoma City here tonight. It's at Oklahoma City, but the Thunder just 20-42. They've been very shorthanded lately. Wolves a chance to put together a professional effort, start another nice run here. So we will see. But that Adelman stat in Sacramento got me going down a path. And, it's very similar here in Minnesota. The difference, I guess, is that they've broken that string a little bit. Sacramento hasn't broken that yet. Like we said, they're right now, Sacramento has a record of 24-41, ensuring that they can finish no better than 41-41 this season, even if they won their final 17 games. So, looking forward to that for the rest of this Wolves season. Just thought I would kind of expound on that stat a little bit. Let's finish with the cooler. Gophers women's basketball season is over. They lose to Northwestern in the Big Ten tournament. Another one of those games that was close. Another one of those games that was there for the taking. Another one of those games where Sarah Scalia was very good. Kind of been the theme of this season. A little bit like the men's basketball team, maybe 1 or 2 players short, and that's a frustrating place to be, because you can have some good efforts, you can have some good games, but there's inconsistency within a season, inconsistency within the game, and I think that's what got them again in that finale. So, it's coming up on go time for Lindsay Whalen. Time for her to get this thing moving next season. She'll have a lot of those top recruits in. Got to see more from this team, more consistency, more talent. I think we will next year. I think we will, especially in 2 years. But it's time to start seeing those results on the court next season. That will do it for today. That'll do it for this week. Hope you enjoyed all of the episodes. Please go back and listen if you missed any. It's a nice weekend to do that. And we'll see you again with Patrick Royce and myself on Monday.